Hare Krishna, Mother Raj. Please, you may unmute.
Yes. Haribol, Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Right. My most humble obeisance. Glories to Srila Prabhupada, glories to Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, glories to all the Vaishnavacharyas. Hari Hari.
Long time.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. So
Yeah.
nice to be with the devotees. Haribol. Okay. So we're ready?
Yes, if you're ready, we'll put the rest on the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I just chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanyam Naraskrityam Naranchavam Narottamam Devam Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jaya Muhurdayat Nasta Praishu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevayat Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So today we're reading from SRIMAD Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 45. Okay, let's see if I can see this. Okay. So text 45?
Yes.
Okay. Tasmaj Jahanga Vaiklapyam Agnana Agyana Kritam Atmanaha Atam Tva Anyata Kripanaya Varteram Stechamam Vina. Tasmat, therefore, Jahi, give up, Anga, O king, Vaiklavyam, mental disparity, Agyana, ignorance, Kritam, due to, Atmanaha, of yourself, Katam, how, Twa, but, Anataha, helpless, Kripanaha, toward creatures, Varteram, be able to survive, Te, they, Cha, also, Mam, me, Vina, without. Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. Therefore, give up your anxiety due to the ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, will exist without you. Srila Prabhupada's purport. When we think of our kith and kin as being helpless and dependent on us, it is all due to ignorance. Every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. The Lord is known as Bhutabrit, one who gives protection of all living beings. One should discharge his duties only, for no one but the Supreme Lord can give protection to anyone else. This is explained more clearly in the following verse. Om Agana Timirandasya Gana Gana Shalakaya Jakshu Amalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Parishana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Lalita Vishaka with Sri Lalita Vishaka Shams. Okay, Damscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sata Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Hare. So Lalita and Vishaka, they got my attention today. So nice. Haribol, reminding me to be in prayer. So I will read the verse again. Tajma Sharanga Vaiklavam Yam Vaiklavyam Agyana Kritam Atmanaha. Oh, this problem with sound or volume or both? Okay. Is that on my end? Varaha Prabhu? Can you hear me? Haribol?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I see Varaha saying something about sound, and I don't know if that's your end.
It's clear at my end. I
Okay,
believe it might be clear on others. We'll check to see. But go ahead, please.
okay. So yeah, the rest of the Sanskrit was Katam Twa Anta Pripana Vartarams Te Chamamvina. And the translation again is therefore give up your anxiety due to the ignorance of self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, will exist without you. This is a beautiful verse for bringing up a lot of different things for many people. Someone that's not been practicing bhakti for some time, when they hear this, the first part of Srila Prabhupada's purport, that could bring up a lot of different emotions for them, because they may not quite understand the science of bhakti. And so it's important, to be able to help, especially people that are newly coming to Krishna consciousness, to understand what is bhakti, what bhakti really means. Oh, it's on your side, Varaha Prabhu. So sorry about that. I'm just so grateful that you're here. Your presence is inspiring me, and I am praying that somehow I can say something that's worthy of a blessed Srila Prabhupada and our blessed Bhaktitirtha Maharaj for devotees.
Hare Krishna.
So let's dive into this verse, because as I was saying, okay. So maybe you might want to mute yourself. I'm not sure what's going on your end.
Yeah, I did mute him.
Okay, so let's jump into this verse, because this verse is important, in terms of us understanding the practice of bhakti and where we may be at in this practice. Because as we learn from this verse, there's a word here, there's a certain there's a Sanskrit word that says Vaiklavyam, which means mental disparity. And that's big. That's a huge word. Mental disparity. Yudhishthir, this great king, who just, defeated thousands and thousands of armies. He's faced with mental disparity, and so we're as listeners to the Srimad Bhagavatam, we get this opportunity to understand this mental disparity that this great personality was experiencing, because of his so-called attachment to his family members. So before we go into this, I want to look at somebody else that had this kind of mental disparity. It was a little different. However, it was the same kind of emotion of sadness. And can you think of someone in the Bhagavatam that had some kind of sadness that was due to some mental concerns, like he wasn't feeling so well mentally about something? Can any of you think of someone like that, who might be a person like that? So as you know, when I come on here, I come to kind of connect with all of you, and I like to hear from all of you. So anyone would like to share what this word means, mental disparity? So I'll give a little hint. This person, he also experienced what Prabhupada wrote as despondency.
Vyasadeva.
Yeah, thank you. Srila Vyasadeva. Right, he experienced this feeling of despondency. Now, the content and the understanding of why he was feeling this despondency was different than Yudhishthira Maharaj, because he was feeling despondency, which is sadness, a form of sadness, because he hadn't quite shared all that he thought was important for us, all of us, now in Kali Yuga, to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He didn't share things about the Lord's activities, the Lord's pastimes. And so as a result of that sadness that he had, that despondency, he was able to get instructions from within. And this is how we have the Bhagavad Puranas. So who came to him when he was despondent? Anyone remember? When he was sad, I mean, in our modern words, we use sad. In Prabhupada's writings, he used despondency, or as you see in the Sanskrit translation of this word, Vaiklavyam, it is mental disparity. So
Narada Muni.
Narada Muni, and that's the same person, right? So who is Narada Muni? Narada Muni, you know, it's so important to reflect a little on this personality, because his service is so dear to Lord Krishna. What he does is so dear. He is able to instruct and enlighten and bring awareness to great personalities. Vyasadeva, you know, literal incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yudhishthira Maharaj, who's somebody else that we might think of that Narada Muni came and gave some instruction. There's so many, because he's always, this is his service. This is what he does. He goes and he kind of instigate things to bring awareness to people. This is his role for Krishna. Anyone can think of that?
Devotees, Mother Bride is pretty much doing this class interactively. So whoever feels inspired can unmute himself or herself and speak. Hare Krishna.
This is the last question I'm going to ask. I just, like I said, I'm trying to connect with you. There are 11 of us together here. And so I'm just trying to connect with us. Yeah. There's one person that was really, he's very well known in Bhagavad Puranas, and I'll give a hint.
I would say Dhruva Maharaj.
Yeah, that's one person. Yeah, that's one. Wonderful. I was thinking of Kamsa. He like gave Kamsa, like, told him what was going to happen, right? And so this is his role. He's a guru with a specific role. And so this is the mood of the Lord. The Lord has representatives, and they come to us, and they have different moods in how they instruct us, how they teach us. So here, Narada Muni is teaching Yudhishthira, not really teaching, he's reminding Yudhishthira Maharaj that you must give up this anxiety that's due to ignorance of the self. Now, what is the self? When we understand the self is us connected to the Lord within the heart, the Paramatma. So the self is to understand who the Lord is. And so here we see that this anxiety that Yudhishthira Maharaj was experiencing was because he actually cared. He cared about his family members. Now, there's two ways of looking at this caring. And so we want to explore when we care about other people. So he cared about these family members because he was a little bit wondering what happened to them. He came back from this war and they were nowhere to be found. So that put him in anxiety. Now, it's very natural in human nature, in human beings to care. It's a natural thing. We care for ourselves, we care for others, we extend ourselves, into our family members, our social environments, our communities, our world, our planet, sometimes extend ourselves outside of this planet. So it's important to know this mood of caring. When we care, what are some ways to understand how to care? And so this is what Narada Muni is bringing to Yudhishthira Maharaj's attention, that it's important to understand the self, who's the actual caregiver, who is the real caregiver. And so we hear, as in this purport, Prabhupada says that we're going to hear more about, this mood, what Narada Muni is instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj as we continue to read these purports. And so, or these translation. And so remember, Yudhishthira was concerned about his family because Gandhari had lost all her sons. Vidura was kind of old, and Dhritarashtra was blind. And so Yudhishthira was thinking, what happened to them? Now, this is the catch in this little verse here. According to Narada Muni, what he is teaching us is Yudhishthira, he was still thinking that he was their maintainer. He was thinking, I'm the one that was responsible for them. And so it's natural that he would care for them. It's natural because he's the caregiver in that material body for those persons in those material bodies. And so the distinction is being made here by Yudhishthira that as long as we are only focusing on the body of the persons that we're caring about, then that kind of caring is in the modes of ignorance, that care. So let's look at caring from the modes of material nature. So when we care, about people, we can care about people, we can care, we can think we care. However, there's looking through the modes of nature. When we are in the modes of ignorance, and Prabhupada explains this mode of ignorance. He says that in a mode of ignorance, basically we learn from Bhagavad Gita what the modes of ignorance represent. And in that mode of ignorance, Prabhupada says that I just pulled a lecture, a quote, and this lecture is ignorance means he has no knowledge. Actually, this is in a room conversation in February in Mayapur. Prabhupada says that person is an animal. They have no knowledge. And then he goes on to explain again in another lecture in 1969, ignorance means animal life. Knowledge means human life. And then he explains again in a lecture in Hawaii in January 1975. He says, everyone is required to be cured of this disease of ignorance. The disease of ignorance means I am this body. I am this body. However, I am not this body. Last quote from Srila Prabhupada about this mood of ignorance. He says in 1969 in San Francisco, so long as your senses are impure, you are completely in ignorance. You do not know what you are, what is this world, what is God, simply in darkness, just like dull stone. Ignorance means dull stone. So now let's look at Yudhishthira Maharaj. Was he in that kind of ignorance, as Srila Prabhupada is sharing in these different lectures? Because as far as we know, Yudhishthira is one of the Pandavas who's very connected to the Supreme Lord, right? So it's important for us to remember that these great personalities are often, they're often enacting different roles in their service to the Lord. So Yudhishthira is enacting the role of a king. And as a king, he's somewhat in the mode of passion, I mean, the kings in those days, they were in the mode of passion. However, they had knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not like the kings that we have, in modern day monarchy, or it's a different kind of understanding about being a king. So here we see back to this mode of ignorance, because Srila Prabhupada used this word, right, in the translation. And we want to understand, when somebody is in the mode of ignorance, they don't care about themselves. Usually they don't think about themselves. Usually they don't think about anybody else. Usually they don't care. They usually don't care. We see people that are in the mode of ignorance, they simply have given up somewhat on life, because they may not, well, of course they have no knowledge, and maybe they don't really, they're not even looking for knowledge. In our human understanding, sometimes some people are in the mode of ignorance because they have had various kinds of traumas in their lives, and they're not able to face these traumas. They're not able to, understand these traumas. And because they have no knowledge about how things affect us in our lives, then they become like animals. They don't care. They just give up. They don't care about anything. And because maybe sometimes for some people, they experience losses in their lives that is very traumatic, really traumatic. And so then they may be, those are just some things that can contribute to a person being in the mode of ignorance. And so sometimes we think, as devotees, we think that we want to be like people that in our scriptures may have acted in ways like avadhuts, like people who they didn't care about anything in their life. They didn't care about themselves, and they didn't care about anyone else. An example of someone like that in our scriptures is Jadbart. I believe it was in his third life, something like that, because he had so many different experiences in 2 other lives. So by the time he got to that life, he, could understand, he had that experience of the deer. And so he then became like a person, like an avadhut. He didn't care about anything. It appears like he didn't care about anything. Another example we can think about is Gorkashore Das Babaji. Gorkashore Das Babaji, he appeared like he didn't care about anything. And he didn't care. He wasn't involved with anyone. He just wanted to be alone. He appeared to be like an avadhut. And sometimes we tend to think we are avadhuts. So we sometimes imitate the avadhuts in our caring, right? However, that mood of imitating these great souls, because these great souls, they appear like that. However, they are very much absorbed in the Lord, in the pastimes of the Lord, or they're absorbed in chanting the holy names of the Lord. They're absorbed in fully remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. However, in sometimes as immature devotees, we tend to hear a verse like this and think, oh, that means I shouldn't care about anything. I shouldn't care about anyone. I need to be detached. And I need to not care about my wife, not care about my children, not care about anybody. But that's not bhakti, not really. That's actually the mode of ignorance. And so here, Prabhupada is helping us to understand, Srila Prabhupada, what Narada Muni's instruction is to Yudhishthira. Don't be in this mode of ignorance in terms of just thinking about your family members as the body, because Yudhishthira Maharaj knows this. They're not just the body, However, he's having a moment of lamentation to show us that understanding of a lamenting about those persons in our lives without Krishna in the center, without, as Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj gives us this example of a triangle. And he says, in this triangle, Krishna is the center of this triangle, and we, the living entities, are on both sides of the triangle. You know, husband and wife, husband, wife, children, however we want to kind of understand that. But Krishna is the center. Krishna is the center, and we are here. We're here, right? The living entities here, living entities there. And unless we keep that in our focus, in our consciousness, then yes, we will fall into this this understanding of being in the modes of ignorance. Usually, a person in the mode of ignorance have no responsibility, right? Totally different from Yudhishthira Maharaj. He was fully responsible. He was so responsible that he thought he was the one that was responsible for his family members. Again, this reminder that Krishna has to be in the center of everything that we do. Krishna has to be there. Krishna is the cause of all causes, and Krishna is the seed-giving father of everything. And therefore, if we forget that, then yes, we will be trapped in the mode of ignorance. We will be irresponsible in our activities. Then let's look at the mode of passion. So the modes of passion, as we know, as we understand the modes of passion, people they're very responsible, right? They behave in certain ways of protection, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's the king. So he's thinking, I am the protector. I am the protector. And when we're in the mode of passion, you know, we think I am like a good person. I'm gonna do the right thing, and I'm gonna make sure everything goes, you know, in order. And this was Yudhishthira Maharaj. He did the right thing as far as his dharma, as far as his role as a king, as far as, you know, what his responsibility was, which is really to teach the world. He was fully responsible. And so this mode of passion, it's important for us to understand that in that mode of passion, we can also be very much thinking of these people that we are around, that we have some responsibility for them, and we forget that, again, that triangle, that Krishna is the cause of all causes. So we could forget that. And so Yudhishthira Maharaj is being used in this text to remind us, and the Narada Muni is reminding him to remind us that we don't want to think of our family members in the mode of passion. We want to understand not to care for them in the mode of passion. We can be responsible in the mode of passion. However, we can still be connected to our family members, thinking that they're their bodies when we're in the mode of passion. When we're in the mode of ignorance, we usually don't care, you know, whatever the kid does or doesn't do, fine, you know, whatever. Usually people, you know, they procreate, they have children, or worst case scenario, a woman gets pregnant and the husband says, abort the child because this is not, you know, suitable for our social environment, having a child. So this is kind of like the mode of ignorance, right? Not really caring. Thank you. That's so nice. Yeah, it would be so nice to see if you can. It is definitely it's encouraging, and it's reciprocal to have this kind of exchanges when we see each other. Anyway, please don't, no worries. Don't think that you have to. Hey, Mitravinda. Hey, Hari, so nice. And so then there's the mode of goodness, right? We can care in the mode of goodness. When we care in the mode of goodness, we want to be like balanced people. We want to be in harmony with everything. Everything is good, you know. We're doing everything. We think we don't so much care whether it's right or good or bad. We care mostly that it's good. We want things to be good. We want to inspire other people. We want to change the world in some way, you know, through peace and through harmony. And this is caring in the mode of goodness. And so we need to be able to understand these ways that we can care for people and explore within our own selves. Well, how do I care? In what ways do I care? Now, what's interesting for us that can sometimes bring us into this mental disparity that's been spoken about in this purport is that we're practicing bhakti, and bhakti is transcendental. And bhakti tells us everything is to be done for Krishna, right? It's whatever. If you have your family members, you care for them for Krishna. You do your duty. Everything that you do it for Krishna, right? We don't care about, you know, doing it in passion. We don't care about even doing it in goodness, because even though Krishna says we got to come to that mode of goodness first before we can really experience bhakti. However, we have been so very fortunate by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the mercy of our respective gurus that we have been given this opportunity to dive right into bhakti, right? Sometimes we have residues of ignorance and passion and goodness, but we got bhakti, we got this transcendental science, right? And we have this understanding, do it for Krishna. And we sometimes don't realize that doing it for Krishna is not necessarily automatic. It takes, you know, really being engaged in the process of this remembrance, of remembering that I am actually a lover of Krishna. I am actually a lover of God. You know, I was telling this story the other day. This devotee was sharing with me that she was sharing that she decided to not participate in activities with the devotees. She didn't really want to be a part of the bhakti process anymore. And so I was curious. I was like, oh, really? Why is that? And she says, I just don't feel so comfortable being in the association of the devotees because there's so many expectations and there's so much judgments and, you know, some of the regular things people say when they leave the process. However, one thing she shared with me that caught my attention, she says, you know, I used to be a Christian. I grew up as a Christian. She says, and I always knew God loved me. I always knew that as a Christian. And even when I went to college, to university, I was doing kind of things that may not be so acceptable. However, I knew God loved me. God loved me. She said, and then I came to Krishna consciousness. And, you know, I was very enthusiastic and very excited to be practicing Krishna consciousness. I was just like the one that was like, yay, give me the service, let me. I was just like so excited. She said, and then I just somehow, you know, in that process of being with the association of devotees, being enthusiastic, somehow because of the way that devotees tend to sometimes treat each other, the expectations devotees sometimes have of each other, the judgments we often have of each other, you know, the criticisms we often have of each other. She said, I couldn't remember that God loves me in that environment. I wanted to remember God loves me. God loves me. You know, she said it was just so much rituals and, you know, anyway, so what was interesting about that conversation for me was oftentimes, you know, we get this mercy to engage in bhakti, and bhakti, it's not dependent on anything else. Bhakti is totally transcendental. However, when we come into this process of bhakti, we often come with the conditionings that we've had from previous lives. And we bring those conditioning into our association with each other. And so, of course, as we're taking shelter of the process of bhakti, and there's 9 different ways that we can engage in bhakti, as we are engaging, those different conditionings will be minimized. However, it takes time. And depending on how absorbed a person may be in those one or 2 or 3 or 4 of those 9 processes, that person will experience the minimization according to their level of consciousness. So here we see this example of Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is a very elevated soul, extremely elevated. And yet his guru, Narada Muni, is reminding him, don't be so attached to your family members. Why is that? What is that for us? What is it that Yudhishthira Maharaj is teaching us? Yes, it is very easy to become attached to our family members and forget Krishna. It's very easy. It's very easy to care for family members and forget Krishna. Daily, we can check ourselves and see each day, did I remember Krishna? How did I remember Krishna today? So what I'd like to propose to you, all of you, is to share, now I'd like to open this up for everyone to share. What is their 9 processes of how we can engage in remembering that Krishna is in the top of this triangle. He's in the top of it. And this requires, for lack of a better word, this requires work. In our tradition, we say effort. We got to make the effort, right? We got to make the effort to be reminded. Now, of course, the spiritual master is there to remind us. That's the role of the spiritual master, to remind us to the spiritual master remind us to hear Krishna Katha, right? To hear. And that's why each day it's recommended to really read, not just read, but study Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is why I'm so encouraged by the devotees there in West Africa, because they are very conscientious. And I'm guessing it's there in Togo also. I'm sure Varaha Prabhu is, because he's such a wonderful example for all of us, to show us, to devotees that they are inspiring us, especially for me in West Africa, about this valuable process of hearing. I'm going to embarrass this Prabhu. Krishna is arranging that right now. His name is slipping my brain, but Prabhu that's coordinating so many of the Bhakti Sastras and classes and the different classes, just so devotees can hear the Bhakti Vaibhava. Chaitanya, say his name, Prabhu, because I really want to say. Go ahead. Chaitanya Prema Prabhu. And Krishna, he arranges remembrance and forgetfulness. So somehow I forgot. But because I just really appreciate and I'm so I have so much reverence for this devotee, for his dedication to making sure that the scriptures, that devotees have opportunities to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, to hear the Bhagavad Gita, to hear from other devotees. There's a responsibility in that area for him, because he had the opportunity to be able to hear. So now he's sharing it. Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, they say, whatever you learn, you share, you give it, even if you don't think you're so very expert at it, just give it. So he's a perfect example for us, that he heard and now he's sharing and he's making it available to so many people in throughout West Africa. So that's one way that we can remember Krishna in the center, in the triangle. In the triangle of all our worldly activities, all the things that we do, all our different associations with family members or our jobs, whatever it is, Krishna is there. Krishna can be there through our hearing. What's another way that Krishna can be there for us?
Chanting.
Chanting holy names, the holy names, the holy names, the holy names. Krishna, the holy name is Krishna himself in person has come to us in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. When we chant, we are directly calling Krishna, directly. We're saying, oh, my Lord, please accept me. My dear Lord, please accept me. And so this chanting, sometimes, you know, as devotees, and I also speak for myself, I may not be as, how do you say, as attentive, you know, to the fact that I have this opportunity to call in Krishna's names, to call Krishna, to have a association with Krishna for, you know, a couple hours in a day. I may not really be as attentive to that, or I may not be, you know, as appreciative of what I have been given by these amazing acharyas, these great devotees, to call Krishna's name, to take the time to be devotional, to make sure that my space, my sacred space, is a place where that the Lord would want to be, would want to come, you know, to make sure that I am prepared my consciousness to hear the Lord's holy name, to be with the Lord. I'm not always attentive in that way. And so this is an area, you know, that I personally know that I can pray to Krishna to please, 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 give me more awareness, more remembrance, more understanding, more acceptance of how I can call your name, how I can call your name without offenses. You know, this is one of the things that also I learned from this young person that spoke to me. You know, in our association, we're calling sometimes Krishna's names, but then we're offensive to others. We're criticizing them, we're judging them, we're finding, you know, just not appreciating others just for where they are, what they can do, not remembering, not knowing that people come from different kinds of conditionings, different backgrounds. People come with their different traumas, their different losses. So many things are going on in people's lives when they come to Krishna consciousness. Then when we read a verse like this and we hear, don't have this anxiety. Don't be in anxiety about poor creatures. We want to properly understand this. What does this mean? What does this mean for me? And what does it mean for others? So first, what is the saying? Heal thyself. Physicians, heal thyself. So first, I need to really explore, my dear Lord, in what areas am I lacking that I can improve so that I can be a better servant for your devotees, for people that will come to Krishna consciousness, that somehow they may cross my path. How can I be a better servant? What can I do? How can I improve in my hearing? How can I improve in my chanting? What's another way? I see Sati got her hand up over here. Thank you so much for being with us, my love.
Hare Krishna. I wanted to share a few things just that came up that I thought about. Is that that I'm very thankful that I got to do Krishna consciousness in West Africa, because there was a lot of there were so many classes. Like there was nectar instruction class, there was like Ishapanishad's class, there was like devotee like association, there was devotee etiquette classes, there was Bhakti Shastra class. Like there was just unlimited classes that I sat through, and because I was there for so many years, I sat those classes multiple times. So I got a really nice education. So I appreciate that about West Africa. So I want to throw them some applause for that, because I appreciate that and was thankful for it. And then one thing I experienced that's similar to the devotee, I don't know if it's similar, but one thing that I experienced myself is that I was very austere for so many years in West Africa. And then even like in America, and then recently, because I'm married and situations have changed, I'm not as austere as I used to be. And I went through this like emotional sort of like thing where I was just like, will devotees accept me? I'm not waking up early anymore, not fasting like I used to, I'm not turning my rounds as I used to. And so I went through this sort of like emotional thing, and then I experienced that I was still feeling left from my Guru Dev, and I was like still getting reciprocation from devotees and stuff. That I was like thinking, okay, this is fine. but there's like a fear there, you know, and I think other devotees may also feel that because devotees, like when you're in temple, it's like you're waking up from Maharati every day, you're getting so many rounds done. Like there were times I was chanting so many rounds, and like you're fasting on Ekadasi days, and then you have this like life shift, and you're not doing that stuff anymore, and you're thinking, oh my God, like they're gonna think I'm not, you know. The answer is like, well, it's like so many things go on in your head, you know. The by all of the better day with which like think I feel like I'm not fasting or like I'm only chanting 6 rounds a day or things like that. So I think that that's something that devotees experience when they go through life changes. And I guess I've dealt with it in a good way. Like I've had a lot of positive reciprocation, but I think it can also turn out negative if devotees don't know how to deal with it. So I just wanted to express that also.
Thank you, Stephanie. I always appreciate your vulnerability and how you are. Yeah, you're such a caring devotee, and it's so wonderful because I am sure that whatever you have shared, there's others that are experiencing some of what you are feeling. So much of our being grounded in Krishna consciousness comes from our association. And you can see when we don't have association, it's difficult to inspire ourselves to go on in this process. It's a little harder for all of us when we don't have association. So that's one of the criteria for not falling into this mode of ignorance, even, you know, as a devotee, even though devotees aren't really so much affected. We're not on an absolute level, we're in connection with Krishna. However, because we do sometimes, you know, we are human, and so we think of ourselves in this human body, then naturally when we have these experiences of discomfort, of sadness, you know, mental disparity, then yes, what is needed at that time is association of devotees. And so I'm just really grateful to you for reaching out to the devotees, and no matter what situation that Krishna has put you in for your learning, in every situation, you always reach out to the devotees. And I'm grateful to you for that, because that's one of the ways, one of the principles, one of the processes that will assist us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains that in the principle of surrender, that having faith that Krishna will give one protection is really important. Having that faith, and you have that faith because you take shelter of the devotees. You're always speaking to your spiritual master, and you're always trying to find ways to connect with the devotees. So thank you for that example. Thank you. Yeah. Very well. So that Krishna is in the center. That's the thing. The triangle is there. Krishna is at the top, and all kinds of things go on those other two sides of that triangle. You know, that's what it means to have a human body. However, you know, you are situated. So thank you really from my heart. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Yeah, anyone else would like to share anything about this process of chanting the holy names? I want to read something for you from the Nectar of Devotion. And it says that the holy name eradicates material desires and sinful activity. By chanting the Maha Mantra, one can remove the seeds of desire from the heart. Sukadeva Goswami points out that the austerity, charity, and the performance of ritualistic ceremonies for counteracting sinful activities are recommended processes, but by performing them, one cannot remove the sinful desire seeds from the heart, as was the case with Ajamil in his youth. The sinful desire seed can be removed only by chanting, by engaging in Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy names. And this can be accomplished very easily by chanting the Maha Mantra or the Hare Krishna mantra as given to us by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this age, this is, in this times that we're living in this time of so much grief, just like Yudhishthira was grieving. He was grieving for his family members. In this time of so much loss and sorrows, and you know, so many different things that are going on, even as we care for our family members, it's important to remember to call Krishna's holy name. Bring Krishna in the center. What is holy name? Bring Krishna in the center. Hearing about him is putting Krishna in the center, in the top of this triangle. Again, associating with the devotees, associating with the spiritual master, taking shelter of the spiritual master, just like Yudhishthira did with Narada Muni. And finding, being able to really express what's going on for us. Yudhishthira Maharaj, he vulnerably said to Narada Muni, I'm in anxiety about that, my family members. I'm in anxiety. He didn't hide it. He didn't try to put it in a closet. He didn't think, oh, I'm not so advanced. I'm so advanced that I can't, express that I'm connected. I am attached to my family members, and he's a very great soul. It's not like he's in the modes like we are expressing, he is a great soul. He's a great associate of the Lord. And he's teaching us those emotions can be there. However, we want to have them properly situated. We want to have that we are caring for our family members, because care is a natural part of the human experience. We got to care. If not, then this human experience then is not real. It's like Prabhupada says, is an animal, right? So in a true human experience, when we have Krishna in the center of our relationships, then we are in that process of bhakti, of having Krishna in the center, the Lord in the center. And even if somebody is practicing in a different tradition, if the Lord is in the center of that relationship, then they will care for their family members, knowing ultimately, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the Lord is the only protector. The Lord is the protector of everyone. And anyone that's very sincere in their spiritual practice knows this. In any path, they understand, I'm not the controller, I'm not the doer. So Narada Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj, they are teaching us this principle that we're not the doers. And Yudhishthira is using himself as an example, just like Sati used herself as an example just now, to teach us about human emotions that might be there as we're practicing bhakti. This is Krishna consciousness. This is real. This is what we're looking for. Genuine, real relationships with each other. Genuine, real relationships to help us grow. Because the path is such that one day, if I'm, not practicing, if something happens, I can be, in a situation where I need the support of devotees. We always need the support of devotees. However, I can be in a place, sometimes it can happen, where there's mental disparity in some ways. And that's when the association is very important. And that's Narada Muni. He came to give Yudhishthira Maharaj association and to help him remember. Yes, my dear, Krishna, Kusha, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, right. Hare Krishna, excuse me. Krishna, hold on. We want to formally recognize the presence of His Grace Shiva Svanachari on this forum. You're welcome, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, my dear mother, my obeisance.
Obeisance to you, my dear brother.
Hare Krishna.
My exalted brother, my most exalted brother. Please accept my humble obeisance.
I'm your servant. It's my mercy. Hare Krishna.
my big exalted brother. Thank you. And Kusha Prabhu, I wanna appreciate Kusha Prabhu and Sahadev, because between the two of them, and I think Salika and maybe whoever else, for making sure, Salika Prabhu, yeah, like these devotees, again, we're talking about being real in our association with each other. These devotees, we don't know what they put aside to make sure these classes go on every day. I mean, I think about that sometimes, when I look at the site, I think these devotees. Hare Krishna Vahaha, turn off your thing, please. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. So I love to appreciate devotees. That's one of the things that I do, because I understand, Krishna loves his devotees. And if I could just try to start trying to at least practice appreciating devotees, maybe I can start really learning how to love the devotees. And so I want to say to you, devotees, thank you very much from the core of my heart. You are making, you're bringing awakening to so many people all over the world by having this platform going on. Thank you. Okay, Kusha, I'm ready to hear what you're going to share with us.
Yes, Krishna Mother, I came to disturb you.
Yes, I love it when you disturb me.
When you speak about we need to care for devotees. So caring for devotees is not material attachment. When we care, because when we join Krishna consciousness, we are told not to be attached to our families that give birth to us. And now we are being told to care for devotees. It's not the same caring we are told not to do with our families. That is material attachment.
Thank you, Kusha. I thought you were going to really get me with this one. I love your challenges. This is what I miss in West Africa. You know, like there are challenges. You're being really kind to me. So we shared, you know, that we don't want to care for our families in the mode of ignorance, right? Where we say we care, but we don't really care. You know, that's like, you know, we can say I don't really, you know, I don't really care, and we can pretend that we care, but we don't really care, and we can pretend that we are like detached, but we're imitating some, you know, great personalities in the scriptures. We're just imitating. We don't want to. That's the mode of ignorance, to imitate, right? We also don't want to care about our family members in the mode of passion. I mean, it's not, you know, it's better than being in ignorance totally, where we're making people think we care, but we really don't care. In mode of passion, we do care. However, if Krishna is not there, as we talked about Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, you know, he gives us so many beautiful examples of how to keep Krishna in the center. Of course, Srila Prabhupada, you know, he's receiving all of this information that he gives to us from Srila Prabhupada. So he shares with us to keep Krishna in the center. You know, it's hard to keep Krishna in the center of our relationships if we're in a mode of passion, because in the mode of passion, we're always proving something. We're always thinking we're the doer. We end up thinking I'm the doer. I'm the one caring for them. If I don't go and work, my wife won't get food, right? My children won't get food. If I don't go and do this, you know, it's up to me, right? So in America, we have people that work like, I mean, not, well, since the pandemic, everybody's, you know, have a change of consciousness. But before the pandemic, people would work like asses. Prabhupada tells us that, because they think they're the ones that are taking care of their family members. And so in the mode of goodness, also, someone can, you know, think, okay, I just want us all, my family members, all my children to be in the mode of goodness, to be nice people, to be good people, to do good things in the world, to be philanthropists, to, you know, so all these modes are there in how we can care. If Krishna is in the center of our relationship, and again, I say any tradition, when God is in the center of the relationship, when God is at the top of the triangle, then we won't be, as Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj says, a dead person walking. Because, you know, we can be in the modes and be like a dead person walking. We are dead people walking when Krishna is not in the center. When Krishna is in the center, when God is in the center of our relationships, then those relationships are actually an offering to the Lord. And we know that. We know that we're not the doers. We know that we are in those relationships simply to care for those persons on behalf of the Lord. And if we're not doing that, we're doing a disadvantage to the people that Krishna sends in our lives. So sometimes our Krishna conscious, the way that our Krishna conscious philosophy is delivered, sometimes, you know, can make a person like this young girl that I spoke about, this young person, just go away. They just go away because they're like, there's no room for me here. How am I going to really feel God's love? Our whole purpose is to remind people of God's love, Krishna's love. That's what Narada Muni is doing with Yudhishthira. He's reminding him of Krishna's love. He's saying, don't be in the mode of ignorance with this. Just know Krishna is protecting them. Krishna is taking care of them. and this is what we say is the most important principle in bhakti, that we know that we are given people in our care, not even just our husbands or our wives or family members, different family members. We have people all over the world that are waiting to be cared for, waiting. And we know that our caring for them is simply on behalf of the Supreme Lord. We're helping them to remember their relationship with the Lord. That's our goal. That's our purpose. And if anybody says anything different than that, I don't know. They have to, for me, I don't buy it. I just don't. I mean, to the degree that I do understand a little bit of the philosophy, I understand Krishna loves his devotees, take care of his devotees. He's the father of the devotees. He's the father. And so we are simply assisting on behalf of the Lord. And Srivas Prabhu, please feel free to share. One of the reasons that you are my exalted brother is because I really appreciate your embracing the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and your ability to share it in a way that others can understand. I truly appreciate that. And so first, before you share something, I just want to ask Kusha if that made sense. Because when I speak, I kind of speak a little bit like kind of emotional sometimes.
Yes, Mother, it makes sense. I understand, but I have a second question for you. If
Okay,
nobody has another one.
Okay, I'd like to hear from Varaha, from Srivas and Varaha both. So please show your question. Maybe they can answer.
Okay, my second question is, when you spoke about caring and the gurus also.
Yes.
So we say in the 4th verse of Sri Sastakam,
yes,
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jajanam, he doesn't want followers, right? No money, no accumulation of wealth, no beautiful women. And then the Lord says, no, do I want beautiful women or catch attraction, right? So all these things he doesn't want. I believe as subtle sex also means desiring profits, adoration, and distinction, if I'm right. So my question is, one can be guru, the spell of ignorance, heavy with knowledge, when he wants anything, when he desires anything, like we see in Shastakam, Jajanam don't want all these things. So my question now is, we see so many gurus that want to build big temples, they have desire that looks material, with the name of, we're engaging them in Krishna consciousness. But is it not against what Chaitanya Prabhu said? Jajanam, I don't need these things. I don't desire all these things. Every morning we sing Shastakam, but we are desiring things in the name of Krishna consciousness. So I've been thinking the real import of that Shastakam, the 4th verse. Can you throw more light on this, please?
I'm gonna answer this only because my exalted brothers are here and they're both gurus. Everyone is really a guru on one level or another. However, they have taken the responsibility to accept the role of bringing awareness to others. And so I'm gonna just kind of answer you briefly. Recently, I was looking at a temple in, I think it was Karnataka. There was a temple that was built. It was a Vishnu Temple. And the person that wrote this article was sharing about how the architect of this temple was built over 500 years ago. And it was built in such a way that there's five levels, to this temple, right? This is a huge temple, a high temple. And each one of those levels, the architect built it in such a way that the sun would rise on each one of those levels every 5 minutes, right? And so my friend sent me a picture of the sun rising. It's somehow the architect built it that it's a sun temple, I believe it's called. And so a person can see the sun rising every 5 minutes. Now, I was thinking about your question. So for many people, the value of having a temple like that is to understand that there's something greater than ourselves, right? They see that and they think, first of all, they think, who 500 years ago this place was built? Who could understand? Who could understand this, right? They had that kind of science, that kind of technology to build something like this. And not only did they build it in such a way that they could show how the sun is connected, right, to something greater than us. Okay, so that's one example. Second example is, why do I give that example? Because we are so much more in Kali Yuga mentality, you know, than 500 years ago. So now seeing something like that for us, you know, helps us to understand, oh my God, there's something greater than me. Look at what this people did. Look at this temple. Look at how, you know, the architecture did that. Okay, second thing, Lord Chaitanya is Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, came here to us in the mood of Srimati Radharani, enacted pastimes in order to teach us, right? So he's a teacher in that mood, but he's the Lord. We can't imitate the Lord. That's not our position to imitate the Lord. We can learn, you know, from the Lord. We can understand the sentiments of the Lord. However, we can't say, well, why is somebody not on the level of Lord Chaitanya? I mean, that's a big call. That's a big, you know, that's a big, like, how do you say, to put somebody on that level and then to say, well, you're not acting like Lord Chaitanya. You know, as we said, this process of Krishna consciousness is so beautiful that we're always evolving, always, always. Gurus are always evolving. Everybody's always evolving because Krishna is unlimited. Getting to Krishna is unlimited. So that's my understanding, Kusha Prabhu, that in Kali Yuga, these temples, we may not see so much value in them right now. And yes, maybe sometimes people are doing some of the building these temples because they may be mixed in some ways. At the same time, they're doing it though, because they have that intention. What is their intention? Their intention is to bring a place where Srila Prabhupada says these temples are places where people can come and they can have the association, they can see the form of the Supreme Lord and awaken their consciousness. Prabhupada himself, you know, arranged for so many temples, right? So the idea that I understand from this is it requires a lot of humility, you know, like so much humility to be able to understand that everyone, their intention, once we come to bhakti, you know, we may still be mixed in some ways. However, the greater intention is to be a servant and to be a lover of Krishna. And if we can see all of us like that, we're all endeavoring in some way. Some may be more elevated than others. Look at Yudhishthira Maharaj. He's very elevated, yet he's acting like he's so connected to his family members. Somebody could say he's in the mode of ignorance, right? Somebody could say he's in the mode of passion. But Maharaj Yudhishthira is beyond these modes, but yet he's acting in that way for our benefit, to help us. And so now I'm going to turn it over to our exalted brothers, because you know what? Because I want to say, Kusha, you're also a guru. I'm sure you have inspired so many people in Krishna consciousness.
I'm a pure devotee.
You're doing that here. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj explains that there are different levels of being a guru, and he explains, and Prabhupada explains to us about what it means to be a pure devotee. So we're not bereft of knowledge. We have knowledge. It's whether or not we accept the knowledge that's been given to us. But please know that you are also a person that inspires so many people on this platform of West Africa. Please know that. I am one of them. You inspire me. You're my guru, because I get a chance to come here and listen. I get a chance to, you know, even technology is so great that now in Kali Yuga, I have an opportunity that I can't come to the classes, which usually I'm not. I get a chance to listen after, you know, and you make that possible. So please don't limit you.
Hare Krishna.
My dear brothers, I would like to hear something, please.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother. Thank you, Mother. Before, please, my humble obeisances to you. Before either or both of Srimad Varaha and His Grace Shivas say a word about this question, because they are formal, they are formally acting as gurus. So I would like to say this. Oftentimes, we try to understand a devotee based on a question or a comment he or she asks or says. And I have said a couple of times that we cannot use that as the barometer to assess a devotee, because sometimes a devotee asks a question just to stir up other topics, or to make the class enticing and exciting. Sometimes it's a question somebody asks from another person but cannot, excuse me, say it out here, so somebody asks the question. And I pretty much appreciate the answer you gave. So, Srimad Vanachari Varaha Prabhu, you may take it from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you very much, VRAJALILA Mataji. You are our inspiration. I always say, without your presence in West Africa at the time I joined this movement, probably I wouldn't have given my life to Krishna consciousness, to Prabhupada's mission, because I had a lot of material plans which I was eager to fulfill. But by your kind encouragement, by your kind guidance, we gradually took interest in Krishna consciousness. And then you offered us to Bhakti Tita Maharaj. And Bhakti Tita Maharaj, out of his causeless mercy, his unlimited mercy, he put the icing on the cake. And today we are still hanging around in this Krishna consciousness, simply based on the mercy of devotees like you. So the question Krishna Prabhu is asking, for me, I always see, as Ade Prabhu is saying, is not that Krishna Prabhu does not understand, but he only asks on behalf of other devotees. Because the prayer of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nandanam Janamna Sundarim, is a prayer for a sannyasi, because Mahaprabhu was in the mood of a sannyasi. So he offered that prayer. But as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should be in the mood of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In other words, we have to practice detachment. It does not matter whether one is in the Brahmachari ashram, whether one is the Grihastha ashram, one is in the Vanaprastha ashram, or one is in the Sannyasa ashram. Mahaprabhu's principle is detachment. And we can also see that the more one is detached from the body, from the material situation, circumstances, the more he can actually taste bhakti. So Mahaprabhu gave us that instruction. And as our leader, as the example of a Krishna Bhava devotee, we want to achieve that. But at the same time, as preachers, we have to establish certain facilities for the purpose of preaching. Srila Prabhupada says, if we do not build temples and we sit under the trees, nobody will join us. Especially in Kali Yoga, they have the eye for beautiful things. And so if your situation is not attractive, they will not come. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada initiated these grandeur temples because in Kali Yuga, people will be attracted to such beautiful grandeur temples. So first, if the mood of detachment is there, then whatever we are doing, we do not demand recognition, we do not demand adoration, we do not want fame out of these things. We are simply doing it as a service. We are doing it to promote the preaching. We are doing it to expand the facility to bring more people to Krishna consciousness. So that is the reason why many devotees, senior devotees, sannyasis, gurus, managers, and so on, they embark on such huge, huge projects simply because it attracts a lot of people to take to Krishna consciousness. And so in this way, we are expanding the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we are expanding the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So I would just want to say that the purpose of building temples, the purpose of, getting material facilities is to facilitate the preaching. It is not meant for the pleasure of the individual. If it is meant for fame or honor or distinction or adoration, then the whole purpose is wrong. But the purpose of establishing a temple, expanding or establishing facilities should be for attracting more people to take to Krishna consciousness. And so if that is the objective, that is the motive, then it is right, it is in order that we expand Krishna's mission, we expand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, we expand Prabhupada's mission by providing all these facilities to attract people. And so that is what I want to say. And then to the other issue of attachment to family and taking care of devotees. Yes, when we joined the movement in the beginning, there were very strong preaching of detachment from family. It was necessary because, when you joined this movement wasn't much known. And so when you join the movement, friends and family members, they try to drag you out. We have seen these things. I remember the issue of Kalidas Prabhu in Lagos. Kalidas Prabhu was coming from a Muslim family, and the parents did not want him to be a devotee. They did all kinds of things. They brought dacoits to beat the hell out of him. He was bleeding like anything. But Kalidas was very determined to remain a devotee. So in the beginning, when this knowledge and philosophy wasn't known very much, to be a devotee, you must exercise some amount of detachment from your friends, from family, in order to become fixed in Krishna consciousness. If you do not have that amount of detachment, then they could pull you back into their own environment. So that kind of preaching was there. But as the society expanded and knowledge has become more widespread, we don't preach these things anymore. We say, try to bring your family members, try to encourage them in Krishna consciousness, because devotees have become fixed now, and the family members cannot influence them to give up their Krishna consciousness. So tying it to the issue of devotee care, as my dear mother VRAJALILA said, the devotee is very dear to Krishna. We actually cannot please Krishna. But we can try to please the devotees. Krishna is unlimited. How can you please an unlimited personality? Impossible. But the devotee can be pleased by some little service, by some little assistance. And when the devotee is pleased, then Krishna is also pleased. So therefore, taking care of Krishna's devotees is as good as taking care of Krishna. Actually, Krishna is even most happy when his devotees are cared for. So it is our desire, our practice, that we should take care of devotees. And this way, we can actually invoke Krishna's mercy. Prabhupada will often say, if you love me, then you should love my dog. The devotee is like a pet of Krishna. And so if you treat the pet very nicely, naturally the owner of the pet becomes happy. So by taking care of devotees, we are actually tapping on Krishna's mercy, because Krishna is very pleased to see us take care of his devotees. So this is the little I can say in this as my contribution. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari, Jai Srivas Prabhu. Thank you so very much for sharing. And yes, I absolutely appreciate, I always appreciate when you share, because as I said, you are a very sastric person, and you really are committed to the words of Srila Prabhupada, to the purports of Srila Prabhupada. When you spoke about that detachment, I want to remind the devotees to please not imitate. Don't imitate in your life being, although we, as Srivas Prabhu said, yes, we have that instruction of Lord Chaitanya. We are aspiring to be in that mood, but please don't imitate, because otherwise what happens is your spiritual life will then become more in a mood of just trying to please others and trying to live up to others' expectations, as opposed to where you really are in Krishna consciousness. And then one day just realizing, I don't want to be like that, and then deciding to leave. This has happened so much in our institution. And I wanted to just share, before I ask Varaha Prabhu, I wanted to share a meditation from His Holiness Bhaktitirtha Swami, where he shares in his Beggar 4. He says, I am being called by 2 different agencies. So, this is usually when we think of family members, we kind of put them in that mood of other. And he helps us to understand with humility how to address this. So he says, my relatives, friends, and associates here feel that since I have so many family members and disciples who are connected to me and who depend on me, it would be unhealthy to separate myself from them. Their contention is that as I am the baby in the family, that's his family, which he always gave attention to, as I am the baby in the family, it is unnatural for the youngest amongst the children to be the first to leave the body. As far as my disciples all around the world, they feel that they are still too much like babies and very much still need the physical presence of their spiritual master. And this is the mood that I simply wanted to bring to this class today. Therefore, I submit myself. Therefore, I submit myself to my Gurudev, asking him to guide me according to what he finds is necessary and best in his service to humanity. That's the mood of Yudhishthira Maharaj. That's the mood of Narada Muni. He's in that mood of being a guru. The disciple is Yudhishthira Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking for help. And so this is the mood of the devotee. We never think that we're doing anything, and we do know that we're always being called in different ways. And as long as our family members are practicing bhakti, then at least we're situated properly in Lord Chaitanya's mood. So Varaha Prabhu.
Hare
I
Krishna,
see
then
Govinda is here. Haribol, I see Govinda is here too. Wow, all these exalted brothers. Yes, Varaha.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Shivara.
Hare Krishna. First, I have to thank you for showing us the example of how to appreciate devotees, to show appreciation for one another. This is a very needed example these days. Like you said, the story you gave about the lady who gave up devotional service because she was not feeling like she's fitting into the mood of being loved. So this is very, very important. And you are a very good example in this regard. So I'm very grateful to you for this. The two questions asked by Kusha, the first one is about how do we say we should care for devotees, but also we're asking that we should be detached from family. That I think much has been said on this. But there is one point I'd like to mention. I don't think that the philosophy changed. The truth is always true. There's no one time that truth is relative. Actually, we're teaching absolute truth. And absolute truth is not relative. It is always true at any time, place, and circumstance. So Jesus Christ in the Bible, when his mother went with his siblings to go and see Jesus while he was preaching, and after waiting for a while, and Jesus was absorbed in preaching, so the mother said, "Please tell him that his mother and his siblings are here." And Jesus Christ said, "Oh, those who are here participating in this Sangha, they are my brothers and my sisters." So a devotee of the Lord sees first and foremost that his family is the devotees. And the material family, of course, we have come from there and we have responsibility towards them. But at the same time, as long as we see in the sense of my family, then it becomes, more profound. My family, my tribe, my people, my race, and it's just on the bodily platform. So we have to rise above that because this segregation, tribalism, racism starts from, too much of being family conscious. And that is not meant for spiritualists. So I don't think that philosophy has changed, but we have to understand that our true brothers and sisters are those that we share the same God consciousness, Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness. That's our immediate family. We have to understand that. That's very important. So we are not, of course, this philosophy did not say we should abandon family. Actually, Krishna never said that we should abandon anything. But from your teachings today, Mataji, you said it again and again. Krishna should be the center. Arjuna wanted to renounce fighting because he started saying that, what will this war profit me? It will not profit my family member. But later on, Krishna told him, you have to don't give up your work, don't give up the fight, but put me in the center, do it for me. Karmani Eradicates. Don't ever think that you're the cause of the result, and don't be attached to the result, and don't be attached to not doing your work. So these are the various aspects of this philosophy we have to understand. If we put Krishna in the center, then family, everyone fits in. There's enough space. Once Krishna is in the center, everybody fits in. Animal fits in, friends fits in, society fits in, the whole world, Jagat fits in. So family are never neglected when Krishna is in the center. Never. But we have to understand the principle that through relationship is actually a spiritual relationship. All other relationships are temporary. So that is also on the same note for the Nandanam, Nanjanam, Nasundarim question. Actually, Lord Chaitanya was criticized for this by the people at that time. Who is this saint? Who is saying Nandanam, Nanjanam, Nanjanam, Nasundarim? Why is he saying these things? All the priests at that time, all the Brahmanas, they encourage people in their quest for these things. They do puja for people for these things. People are saying, Danam, Danam, Janam, Janam, Danam, Danam, Janam, Janam, more wealth, more followers, more family members. That is their aspirations. And now he's coming to say, Nandanam, Nanjanam. What kind of a person he is? So it is not new what Krishna is brought up. Lord Chaitanya was also criticized for it. But we have to understand in what sense Lord Chaitanya is saying this. Lord Chaitanya is telling us that Krishna will not give us whatever that will not be useful for us. Anything that will bring us misery, Krishna will not give that to his devotees. So we should also learn to ask Krishna for what Krishna alone can give. He did not say, I don't want this alone. He also said what he wants. And he said, I want devotional service, birth of the birth. So unless we want to avoid understanding that principle, I mean, that is the essential point. We have to learn to replace our material desire with the ultimate goal. We may not be at that point right now, like you said, Mataji. We may not be there at that point right now, but the goal should be put in the focus. We should not lose sight of the goal. The goal is to desire Krishna and devotional service, back up to back. And every material things that can, increase our misery. All these things, actually, we think we need them. But in most cases, they are the cause of our sufferings. Family, money, followers, whatever it is. These are the cause of material sufferings. So we have to learn to desire what is actually good for us. And there's no two ways about it. People may not like to hear the truth, but the truth has to be spoken. We have to put that in the focus. You may desire these things today, but you should know what is actually best for you. And some of these things that we desire, some of us don't really need them. Some people don't even need children. Some people don't need wealth, because when they get these things, it's going to be the cause of their misery. So just know there's only one thing you can desire that will never bring you misery. That is devotional service to Krishna. And that truth has to be repeated into our ears, because we are making wrong choice, life after life. And we have this lifetime to make the right choice. Krishna Bhakti. That is what we're supposed to be looking for. So in conclusion, I would like to say that the more we actually engage in devotional service and we put Krishna in the center, like Mataji rightly said, the more we will see everything becoming harmonious, everything becoming fulfilled. And there will be any separation. We'll not be feeling that there's something is missing in my life because I'm a devotee. That is not true. But for different people, it comes at different times. But this truth is sumambhanam. It's the absolute truth. We have to repeat it again and again so that people know what the goal is. We are not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to change it. The philosophy remains the same. So we should learn how to, last example, actually, it almost escaped me. So Srila Prabhupada, same two questions were put to him at different times. First time, somebody said, are you the guru? Or somebody said, I'm nobody's guru. So he's desiring disciples for Krishna. He's not putting himself in the middle. He's not putting himself, like the center. It's Krishna. I'm nobody's guru. And then somebody wanted to compare Prabhupada with Ramakrishna. And he said, Prabhupada, Ramakrishna will not touch money. But your disciples are bringing your money. Prabhupada said, because he doesn't know what to do with it. You bring me 1 million today, I will take it. And tomorrow I'll be out again asking for more because I know how to use it in Krishna service. So Krishna, Prabhupada is a good example. He's showing us, we can desire wealth for Krishna, but he's not attached to it. He's not thinking I'm a millionaire now. Everyone should know that I'm so rich. No, that's not his goal. But he is a pure representative of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said, you bring me $1 million today, I will accept it. And tomorrow I'll be out again at your door begging for more. So that is the real detachment. You got Yukta Vairagya. How to use all these things for Krishna without putting ourselves in the center. So whether it is disciples or followers or wealth or whatever that is beautiful, if it is for Krishna, then there's no problem. That is the meaning of Karmani Eradicates. Hare Krishna.
Thank you both. Thank you both so much. I'm just so blessed. We're also blessed to be able to hear from these wonderful devotees that have dedicated their lives to being a part of Krishna's family. Just that reminder that we are all aspiring to be a part of Krishna's family. And by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have been allowed to have the knowledge to help us to understand what it means to be a part of Krishna's family. And in Krishna's family, all of us are brothers and sisters together. So please, let's not forget that. Even whether we're gurus or whether we're somebody that's just coming new to the Krishna consciousness movement, we have made an endeavor and we have made some kind of a commitment to be a part of Krishna's family. And so our duty is to simply learn what it means to be a part of that family. So I saw Govinda, and I know it's time for us to close, and I just want to see Govinda Prabhu, if you would like to share something really quickly with us. I know we're a little over time, and I'm just so blessed to be here from.
Not really.
Monda, you have not started though.
We are not running.
You have 2 more hours to go.
Kusha, my dear son.
Yes, sir. I have more questions.
Govinda Prabhu, do you have something to say? Please unmute and go ahead.
Krishna, Mata, my
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Govinda. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Srivas Maharaj, my obeisances to you. All glories to Gurudev, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Vara Prabhu, and all my wonderful God brothers on the platform. My obeisances to you all. I'm actually enjoying the nectar. The nectar is just flowing from your lotus tongue, Srivas Brahmachari, Varaha Prabhu, and all others. So I'm fully satisfied. After being satisfied, what is next? You have a very palatable dishes before you, and then you eat and eat and eat, and you are full to your throat. What else can you put on? Nothing. So I'm fully satisfied. So thank you very, very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, Haribol, thank you so much, Govinda. Govinda Prabhu has shown us in so many ways how he's a part of Krishna's family. Some of the characteristics of being a part of Krishna's family is that, of course, everything we do for Krishna. So Govinda, he is such a generous person on behalf of Krishna. Everything that he does with an intention to offer the results of his dutiful activities to Krishna, to Krishna's service. So I am so grateful to you how you have assisted your brothers in West Africa so much, just the West African mission in general, how much you assist with your generosity. And that's what it means to be a part of Krishna's family, that we understand what the qualities are to be a part of that family. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Govinda Prabhu is working hard, like an ass. But he's not an ass because all his toil and hustling and bustling is to engage in the service of Guru and Krishna. And so even though he may be working as hard as an ordinary Kami may work, but the work is different.
That's right.
I also heard Srila Prabhupada say that Krishna tested him when he was poor financially. He did not abandon Krishna. So he passed that test. And then Krishna gave him a second test. He became so rich. He had everything he could ever dream of. And he still didn't forget Krishna. So I think that is also an encouragement to us that under any circumstance, we should never forget Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Prabhu.
Well, before my son starts speaking, I just want to say, I just want to say that I am just so grateful to be on this platform. I want to thank you guys so much. And I want to thank you, Srivas Prabhu. I want to thank you, Varaha Prabhu, Govinda Prabhu, because these devotees, they came at a time, you know, in Krishna consciousness where it was challenging to be a devotee. It was challenging to say, okay, I'm a Hare Krishna. You know, it wasn't something that was looked at so nicely. I'm sure it's much better now, I'm guessing, because of these devotees, you know.
Yes, it's much better now.
Yes. So because of their commitment, because of their intention, because of their surrender to Guru, they made it possible for everyone else. So that's something that, you know, we all need to, at least myself, I always want to be able to appreciate these devotees for what they gave, the foundation they laid for everyone there in West Africa. Kusha Prabhu. Oh, I wanted to say too, Kusha Prabhu, you might have to talk to Govinda about the temples that's getting built in West Africa, because I'm sure he's one of the ones that this might be financing, you know, some of it helping in some way financially. So you might want to talk to him.
Okay, Mother. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
My question is from the purports. It says, the first line, second line, every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord. So if every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord, what is the need of Singha Pranam? Why do we still pray for protection when every living creature is already allowed all protection by the Lord?
Nice question. You know what I'm going to do here, Kusha? I'm going to turn it over to Govinda. Govinda Prabhu, where are you? Where's why do we ask for protection when Krishna has always given us protection? You always have protection. Why do you ask for protection?
Well, protection is there all the time, because Krishna is all merciful, and no father or mother will leave his son to suffer. And so by all means, the mother or the father is trying to give protection to his children. You know, the children may be good or bad. That protection will be there. The food will be given to all of them, even though they may not be so obedient to the father. But because of that love for the father and the mother, because of that relationship, he always sue to their welfare. And that is protection. Krishna has given protection to all living entities. One of these protection is that we have to breathe air. Once you stop breathing, or you cease, the air ceases to blow, then what will happen? That will be our death. And so Krishna has given air for all, supplying air for all living entities, and that is a form of protection. We are all eating, whether one is sinful or pious, Mother Earth is producing food for everybody. Without food, we cannot survive. So that is protection. So we're having protection from everywhere, you know, but we're praying for protection. It's not that we need protection to maintain the body. The body will ultimately has to perish. You know, we're doing everything possible to be alive. You know, but eventually we're all gonna go. And so when we talk of protection, a devotee pray for the Lord's protection. That protection that we are praying for is to remain as a servant of the Lord. Because of our deviant nature, because of our deviation, because of the shift of our eternal consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness, and that has been the cause of our suffering here in the material world. Once we jump out of the spiritual world, then we fall into this material atmosphere where we have all kinds of problems. And the problems are there because of lack of Krishna consciousness. So a devotee pray for the Lord to keep him eternally, to remember him. And that is the protection that we're talking about. So that is the eternal protection, to be under the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so that will be my understanding, that when we ask for protection, when Prahlad Maharaj, when Lord Nrsimhadev appeared to kill the father of Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad did not say anything. Naturally, no son would stay by for someone to kill his father without trying to protest or try to defend. But Prahlad kept quiet because he knew that his father was not that body, but the real father was inside the body, which is the spirit soul. So if there's any protection needed, it's the soul that needed that protection. So he allowed Lord Nrsimhadev to finish his duty by killing the father's body. And so when he was asked to ask for something, asked for any benediction, Prahlad Maharaj asked the Lord to give him devotional service eternally. All other things are temporary, and if he should have asked anything material, then become a materialistic like his father. And if he go against that laws of nature that his father, like his father did, then the same Vishnu is going to kill him. So what is the need for asking any material benediction? And after all that, he waited for Lord Nrsimhadev to come down. And then he said, I have one more to ask. Can you please excuse my father by giving him liberation? And so Lord Nrsimhadev said, Tataksu, I'll give liberation to your father and also 14th generation to your family. So that is the protection we're talking about. So we're looking beyond the physicals and then go straight to the soul by relink ourselves to Krishna. That is the eternal protection. We go back to Godhead and we never come into this world again to suffer the material miseries. So the real protection is to pray for Krishna to always engage us in his service. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari, the Tagora, thank you so much. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, so this is a complete class, and I am going to close the class with a quote from Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, where he says, we must remind ourselves that the Lord is always finding ways to send out his love. As we remind ourselves of this, it becomes easier to take advantage of the many opportunities that manifest. Life is full of adventures and opportunities to serve humanity and to glorify the Lord. When a person can accept everything as an expression of Krishna's mercy and love, nothing can be too disturbing. Every moment becomes another opportunity in service. Every moment becomes another opportunity to serve humanity, worship the Lord, and express gratitude. So I close in gratitude to all of you. I thank the devotees that's keeping Krishna consciousness alive. All of you here on this platform is doing that, everyone. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I thank my exalted brothers that came on this call today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you,
Hare
Mother. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Sir,
Krishna.
David there?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, Mother Vraj mentioned some names, but she's not here all the time. So she's definitely going to list some names of some devotees who have been very, very amazing and very, very regular. And we may not be able to mention all the names, but whoever has been participating in this program ever since the birth of this forum, we say thank you. We say Hare Krishna and pray to Guru and Krishna that we all get the taste of hearing so that we keep hearing. The benefit of hearing Bhagavatam is hearing more and more, nothing else. And so that is what is going to be our lesson if we are fortunate enough. So thank you so much, Mother, for being here today, and thank you for Shrivas Bhattacharya, Baraha Prabhu, for your in-depth sharing. We'll bring the class to a close.
Wait just a minute, Saha, just a minute. I just moved my screen and I saw Salika Prabhu. I saw Kavikarnapur Prabhu. I see the Mataji's. Loka is here, my dear daughter. Gayatri is here, Sati is here. I just want to thank all of you. Thank you so very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you very much for being motherly. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Mother. Thank you very much, man.
I'm out of my videos off.
Thank you, Mataji. Haribo. Haribo. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Mother.
Haribo.
So we ask all the devotees to kindly unmute yourself.
Haribo, VRAJALILA, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Mother for comment, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Chakra. Oh my gosh, Hare Chakra. Oh my gosh. Hi, Prabhu. Prabhuji. Oh, this is a family. Yeah, we're Krishna's family. Yay.
Hare Chakra's wife is here too, but I shouldn't.
Oh, Haribol, Haribol. Next time I give class, I'm gonna make sure you share. Sorry, I didn't know you're here.
Jai.
Radhe, Jai Shri Radhe.
So please, you all kindly unmute yourselves and then we chant the big Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation for Mother's presence.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare
It's okay. Yeah, hey, Grace, VRAJALILA,
Already missed now. Even if you're better the way you hear.
Yeah. Haribo.
It's okay, you go.
Devi Ki Jai. That's Devi Ki Jai. Look at Devi Ki Jai.
The reason why the devil is
Jai.
you have to